Hello guys, and welcome to another D&D story, once again for the campaign of Dark Magics. At this point, I'm doing pretty much everything, such as writing the script, correction, editing, etc. etc. The videos may now take even longer to come out, so I may have some free times without thinking of it. On the last section, the group was waiting for Brenalish to come to the tavern in order to receive their reward. As the group waited, they saw a man coming in and wave at them, which then asked them to follow him. Busman said to the unknown man who the hell he was and why should we follow him. The unknown man replied in an apologetic voice that he was Brenalish guideman, a person who guides others to Brenalish or guides others to the specific task that Brenalish has given them. So the guideman guided us to Brenalish's big house. On our way, we met with Timothy, who intercepted us. Timothy was the fighter guard who stepped back from assisting Jerry in bringing Gretches to the north. He said that he saw the lady going off with a hooded man. Neela once told us that she escaped, but nothing about the hooded man, so this was additional information for us. We will have to talk to Jared for more information about this later. The group told Timothy that right now they are in the middle of something important and that they will handle that later. Some time passed and we were able to reach Brenalish's house. There we met with Brenalish, who asked about the big creature who was with us, which we told him it was Gulak, a half-orc who helped us clear the mines. He guided us to his big office, which at one point Brenalish asked Gula to close the door behind him. But Gula said that he would not listen to him, so I asked Barnes to tell Gula to do so, as Gula was very fond of Barnes, but also started to be Barnes' responsibility to handle Gula's manner. Barnes did so and thus Gulak as well. Brenalish got to the back of his deck and dropped down a huge sack of gold. After, he opened a smaller sack and took out 50 platinum to give each of us until he got to Gulag, which he took 9 platinum out. At this point, Brenalish made a comment about the pain being for 3 and that the 9 platinum would be out of his generosity. But Busman replied that he found Gulag in the mines and that Gulag did an extraordinary job in clearing it with the party. This then prompted the rich man to retake his 9 platinum back into the small sack. Gulag didn't mind because he only cared about simple things in life, but Busman the Goliath wasn't having any of it. He tried to intimidate Brenalish to no avail. I also tried to persuade Brenalish by describing everything that they went through, but to no avail. Busman put 15 of his platinum into the small sack of Gulag and took out his big axe and threatened Brenalish's life. But Brenalish told him to look around. There we saw in the corner a hooded man with a rapier pointed at us. We sensed that this man was extraordinarily dangerous and that if we fought him, we would lose our lives. Busman didn't waver, but Barnes grabbed me for a second and showed me, as he was counting the gold, that there were much more than what we were originally getting paid for. Now, the situation would have ended bad, but we took the opportunity to calm Busman down, telling him via message spell that there were some miscalculations on the payment for the better. I also said that we haven't taken a rest and that we were worn down. A fight would be extremely disadvantageous to us. It took a moment for Busman to regain his composure. We took the big sack of gold and left Brenalish, who said that if he had more jobs, he would be delighted to hire us. As we left, I took a note about this incident today as there were a lot of suspicions surrounding Brenalish. Our original payment was 2,200 gold. In the sack was 3,800 gold, which is huge miscalculation, but we decided not to relay this information back to Brenalish for treating Gulag wrong. I also did put a lot of things on my notebook of the things we could have do after, such as blow up the entrance of Brenda's mine or take the rest of the platinum in the mine. As I did felt extremely angry that we told Brenda's about the traps in the mines that was still left and did clear some with Gulag. As I felt that persuasion, we could just look for around for more bandits and tell them about the location of the mine and the amount of platinum plus the mystery gold that was located inside of it. Anyway, we split the 3800 into 4, which is 950 gold each. After that, we went to a horrendous shopkeeper where we bought our resupplies plus new supplies. The reason the shopkeeper is horrendous in this town is that it is owned by a gnome who is extremely hard of hearing and confused. Confused as to if you were to ask him something new that you haven't asked him before, he will start blabbering extreme amount of words that comes close to our words but no cigar. This took quite a long time to finish, and I won't lie to you, I would rather blast him and get a new shopkeeper. Maybe something new to put on the list if this campaign ever gets the purge feature. After we were done, I thought and Busman returned to our home, where I would cast my new spell Familiar. This would allow me to find a creature to serve me, and with the new powers I developed, this creature would not only be bound to me, but also would allow me to share our senses. Gula and Barnes went to the weapon shop. Gula only went because he follows Barnes, and didn't shop because he thought his weapon was the best. Barnes went in to try to get some new weapon, but nothing fancy his taste, so instead he resupplies the amount of javelin he had and went back to the house with Gulag. Once we were all together, we decided to take a long rest. Meanwhile, in another area, the hooded man who was guiding Gretchen to the ritual waited for Gretchen to fall asleep, as they've been traveling a little from the destination they have met. From there, the hooded figure searched Gretchen and found a ring with the property of preventing diseases, a diamond dagger, and a small pouch of 900 gold. He left all those alone and went to sleep. In the morning, where I finished training my imp, I went down to the diner as breakfast was being made. There I found Busman already waiting for his food, and Barnes, our chef, cooking the food for us. In an instant, Gulag rushed down because he smelled smoke and wanted to put it out, which all of us yelled to stop because the last time Gulag put out a fire was in the mines and he put it out with his pee. I warned Barnes again that this is his responsibility and need to be ready for any surprise from Gulag's mishap. After we finished our food, the group followed Thaw to the tavern where he met with Jared, who was with his head down, crying. I thought made a stupid comment as to greet him and ask him about how his wife was doing. This only distressed the man as he looked around to see if Gretchen came back. I replied that I didn't know what he was talking about and that we just finished a job and ready to bring them to the north. But the man, Jared, cried and screamed that Gretchen had escaped again with a hooded man to the west, presumably back to the ritual site. I wanted to see Jared's emotion because we were lied before about her being kidnapped on his bounty, but it seems he truly cared for her. We thought that maybe a bandit survived our attack when we saved her from their so-called alleged kidnappers. I jotted again a summary in my notebook and assured Jared that we would handle this. Jared spit out of his pocket a sack of gold of 100 gold. He didn't care about giving us the money ahead of time, but that he only wanted her back safely. We took the sack of gold and went to the front of the desk where we met with William Squatch Bauer, Squatch for short. We asked him some information about the rare bounties of the south in the ruins for later, and we also asked him for bounty to the west, where we were heading. We found some measly one that we couldn't take because it would be too dangerous for Gretchen once we caught up to her. but we found one that gives us 80 gold per pound of mushroom, which we thought we could have just stacked huge amount on us, but we were interrupted by Squatch saying you would need to carry it on this small bag of holding of 10 pounds to preserve it while we return with it, which leaves 800 gold for each of us when we finish the bounty. Not sure what weather these mushrooms are in, but I can only speculate that it has to be in some cave or somewhere with a changing climate. Otherwise, it would just go bad anyway on that climate. On a side note, Squatch also asked for our group to be named, and thus Barnes gave it the Voyager. After that, we took the bounty and headed our way. After a long journey, we spotted two figures far away. As we close in, we notice Gretchen with a hoodie figure. This led to a chase. Both groups started to run as fast as they could. In order, Gulag is ahead at 40 feet times 2, Thaw and Buzzman at 30 feet times 2, and Barnes behind us at 25 feet times 2. As the chase laid on, the duo, Gretchen and the hooded men, hide behind a rock to deceive the other group of one of their senses. They succeeded and rushed into another path to the same destination. However, the group of bounty hunters who thought that the duo was still in the rock had a plan of their own. Thaw, being paranoid and careful, tosses him ahead of him, scouting for traps, flying at 40 feet times 2. The imp, 40 seconds ahead of the bounty group, noticed that the other duo wasn't behind the rock. Quickly, with the ability of Voice Changemaster, Thaw related this information while simultaneously redirecting the path of the imp to scout ahead. The imp spotted the duo once again and led chase. While the bounty hunter group was getting closer, the hooded man used sleight of hand and tossed some marbles on the ground. This caught the other group by surprise, especially Thaw, who had Voice Changemaster and had an imp almost on top of the duo. Kula, who was ahead, started to flail around like he was going to fall, doing what it looked like a weird dance. Thaw dodged it by the split second and Buzzman fell face down to the ground. Barnes behind stopped for a second to pick up Buzzman and continue the chase. The hooded figure did this again, and on the second time, Gula dodged it. Thaw tripped for a second and regained his composure, while the other were too far behind. Again, this caught Thaw by surprise because by now the imp was right on top of them, with Voice Changemaster allowing him to have all senses of the imp. If the marble were underground, it would have been a different story, but since they were tossed, that would have given Thaw between 40 to 60 seconds to react of what the imp saw ahead of time. Seeing that this was getting ludicrous, Thaw rushed and was at 120 feet of the duo. He cast Message of 120 feet and warned the hooded figure that if he didn't stop, he would fire a spell. Since he didn't get a response message back, Thaw got ready to cast his spell by quickening Bless to allow the spell to have a higher chance to hit and then cast Eldritch Blast. However, the hooded figure did stop, thus also halting Gretchen, who was being supported by his hand in the run. Gula went past them screaming, "I am gonna win!" To Gula, this was all a sense of a race, as Gula had more bronze than brains. Barnes and Buzzman caught up, and while doing so, Gulag already rushed at one of the tents and smashed it. After that, looked back and asked Barnes why he didn't rush the tent to smash it. Barnes explained that we needed to catch them, but Gulag confused the word for attack and thus rushed to attack. We stopped Gula before he made a bloody mess, and once again Thaw looked at Barnes, giving him an eye that said, "Your responsibility." You see, you need to explain Gulag in detail that would allow a child to understand, and thus Gulag then wouldn't have trouble with it. After, the bounty hunter talked to the hooded figure and both sides discussed what was going on. It seems that Gretchen found the hooded figure, offered him to pay him 900 gold to deliver her to the ritual site, and thus the hooded figure agreed to do so. We also finally found out more information about the so-called burnings. We only heard about the burnings in town, but we didn't actually pay it much attention, so the group disregarded and kept doing their bounties. If the burning was left unchecked, we would have had an even more extreme trouble along the way. This made it easier for us to decide to bring her there and do the ritual, for you see, we had a big dilemma. The ritual is a sacrificial, and thus Gretchen would die, which mind you, I wouldn't mind if it wasn't for the job that Jared paid us for. To bring Gretchen back alive to her husband, Jared. See the dilemma? She would die and wouldn't be able to return if we guided her to the site. However, there were other motives that guided me in the decision of bringing this whole mess and threat to an end. That will be covered later at night. Now, the hooded person would in no way be able to defeat us all, so he wouldn't be able to bring Gretchen there, unless he convinced us otherwise. But that also wasn't so quite difficult. You see, he offered us two things. One, he offered us to split the 900 pay with us. And two, he offered us a bounty job, which stated he had to go to a specific city or place to regain his stash of fortune items and would share them with us. So all in all, we have all the motive we need. A job, both reward, the end of this burning thread, and for me, lastly, a way to get rid of this lady, which in the end would probably benefit Jared. He deserved someone better than this crazy woman who kept financial money and secrets from him. More of that later. Right as we were discussing more, Busman from the corner of his eye saw a half-orc rush into one of the tents of the bandit camps. Busman related this information to the group, which allowed us to surround this half-orc. Busman told the orc to come out, but the orc refused, saying that he wanted to be left alone and that the woman brings death along her way. I cast Gus to see if he was a threat, but he wasn't. He was just cowardly in the corner with no weapon. So Busman went in and dragged the orc out. Outside of the tent, we questioned the orc of many things that had contradicted some other things. For example, the orc claimed he didn't kidnap her, but that she offered them a pay to take her along the way to the ritual site. He also exclaimed that he didn't kill the companion of Jared, nor the other bandits. This left a bad taste in my mouth, but I wrote every detail on the book to investigate later. In the end, we decided to just leave the poor bastard alone, as he is ensure us that he wouldn't follow us. Later that day, we stopped around the woods to make camp, as darkness was setting in. Barnes and Busman started to figure out the watching order, to keep an eye while the other rests. Gula was just punching trees down and making sculptures, while I sit down with my back against the hooded men and Gretchen to allow them some ease up, but deceitfully allow my imp to hear their conversation if they were to start speaking, which they did. During that time, I overheard more information about the burnings, that Gretchen carries a diamond dagger for the sacrificial ritual, a ring with a property of preventing the owner from getting deceased, which makes sense, as if there were anything to happen to her, the ritual would not be able to be completed. From there and then, I took out a notebook I was carrying with all the notes of my travel. I looked back to gain a little more of a summary of everything I have done, but outlining important things and weird things along the way. This is what was written on my notebook. The outline of the problem started with Gretchen, a bounty that said she was kidnapped by the bandits, but later revealed that she went with them willingly because she offered the bandits a pay to guide her to the ritual site. After we came and so-called rescue her by eliminating the majority of the bandits, after which we took Gretchen back to town, but not without some weird phenomenons. We couldn't get her to tell us everything, and even though I gave it my all to persuade her to tell us more about her and about this thing she needed to do, we only got small information which didn't help us at all. During that time, she didn't offer us any pay or share any value to us that would allow us to take her there. However, We did decide to offer her help freely to get her there where she needed to go, but she kept saying that she needed to go alone and that we should let her go. We refused and brought her back to town where we kept the persuasion and met with Buzzman, filling him in on the whole story. There she met with her husband and now was under the care of her husband Jared, who later we offer him that after a certain bounty we would personally help him bring Gretchen to the north where she could see some doctors and get some help. After setting into the mines, we found Gula, which we had no idea why he was there or what brought him there, but we didn't mind, as Gula took an interest in Barnes and allowed us to finish clearing the mines with better results. Nyla at one point related a message that Gretchen escaped and we needed to hurry up. After that, Nyla went back to town after helping us a little. We got back to town. We got our reward, but found a hooded person who was serving Brendelish who had an extremely dangerous aura. We also met with Timothy, who told us the hooded man who took Gretchen with him, later to find out that Gretchen hired him. We talked to Jared to find out the direction of where the duo went off, which was west. After that, we picked up some bounty from Squatch, found the hooded man with Gretchen, learned that the half-orc didn't kill Jared's companion, and then some more information about the burnings. Things of important notice. This section breaks down things that I need to keep an eye for, as the above written summary had a lot of things that are of mystery. This is what I wrote along in the resting camp. In 2 occasions, Jared lied. One occasion is in the bandit killing Jared's companions, which the orc detailed that he and his group didn't do. That is, if you believe the half-orc bandit. The other occasion was the bounty itself. It detailed that she was kidnapped, but instead she went along with the bandit for a pay. This makes Jared unreliable and suspicious in some of his words. However, his emotions were true about wanting Gretchen back. Brendelish is a mysterious rich man. At one point he came to us, who had a great name for bounty, urged us to take the bounty in a way that I felt he was desperate because others wouldn't take the job. When we returned back, he didn't came himself but sent a guideman, after which we arrived at his house and learned of a mysterious bodyguard that he had, someone who presented themselves to be stronger than all 4 of us. Who is this mysterious guard that could have just done the job himself of clearing the mines, and are there more of them? Gula was no suspicious at all. He is just a simple-minded half-orc barbarian who took an interest in Barnes, because he finally met another of what he believes to be himself, a dwarf. The hooded figure we have no information on, which entails that I will have to figure out who he is, what he does, and what type of fighting style he has. We took a job from him, but I will have to keep an eye on him. I don't trust him. Gretchen. Now, this is a big one. She is how this whole thing came to pass and have a lot of mystery within her. She is right now the most untrusted person in this whole group, and so far the most threatening. She kept a huge amount of information from us who offered to help her once. She gave the hooded man freely information and is trusting him, who is also a stranger to her, versus us, who has a reputable name. During the time we saved her, she would have had the ring and the dagger, but the money she didn't have, as she says she didn't have anything value to us, which allowed us to change our mind and offer our service for free. Gretchen has also kept a lot of secrets from Jared, which also entails she would keep a lot of secrets from us, but maybe just reveal those secrets to the hooded man, which, mind you, we don't trust at all. Gretchen at one point was looking at a half-orc with sadness, which angered me because it showed that she was hiding more secrets. Gretchen revealed us to be a woman who just wants to stop the burnings, but with all these secrets holding and maybe lies within her words, we can't tell 100% of what she really is, or if she is using the burning as an excuse to trick us. Lastly, where is Nila, the druid? Conclusions. This last section revealed what to keep eye for and what to do. I wrote, I will not trust Gretchen no matter what. She never revealed anything of true importance to us, and if anything goes wrong, I will blast her where she stands. I will have to find out why Jared lied in both occasions, or find out the truth of what really happened to Jared's dead companion. I will have to find more information about Brenalish and who are the secret guards that he has that could have done the work instead of us. I will have to find a lot of more information of this new client of ours who also is the untrusted person Gretchen is willing to trust. This ends my notebook investigation for the night. My body fills with paranoia as this conclusion surrounds my mind over and over, asking why. This ends the section of our campaign. Hey guys, welcome to the outro of the video. This was done about 2 days after I pretty much finished the scripting of the video for the storyline. And this is just a little bit of information in case anyone else is confused, as I received some feedback about some loopholes in the storyline, which was a little bit confusing to them, or they felt that it was bonkers because, you know, it kind of didn't make sense at one point, or it seems like contradicting to another point. So if you actually looked over here, you can actually get to a little bit pointish of what actually is going on. This was updated after the feedback to show a little bit more information. You can actually see the Gretchen and a little bit more story in here, such as he's had opened up the throwing gut. I'm not sure if they revealed the name. I looked at the video, I don't feel like it did, but he may have done so. Again, William Squash Bauer right here for the bounty handler, Jared Galvis, and so on, Neela. And for example, Neela actually, if I were getting into metagaming, Neela is in town. The reason we thought that she wasn't in town is because Brenalish himself said during a specific part of the video, not this video, but the video that I watched for 3 hours, that he hasn't basically seen her. So that kind of allowed us to assume in a way that he wasn't in town, but she was. It's just because Brenalish didn't see her does not mean she wasn't in town, and so on. So right now the party will always have a clueless mind of what happened to Nilla. Otherwise, that would be metagaming. That's always wrong to do in a game. So we always play the game how it is. Again, you can actually look at all the information quite in here if you guys have any question about that. It was explained that he did technically had the guard for himself, but the guard technically protect Brenalish. So if the guard is not there, that would technically allow anyone to kill the rich men. So that gives you kind of like a clue why he actually didn't send them and stuff like that. But my character would still go back and probably try to find more information about this, because this allows some of these characters to have a development, even higher development actually. So this is actually something that I probably might release tonight or tomorrow. Tomorrow is literally at Monday. It is Sunday, and either Monday or Tuesday. That's where you pretty much would get this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys have any questions, you can comment below or send me a PM on my Discord. Here are some of the characters if you guys want to know about. It's pretty much 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at the moment. We still don't trust Good because we don't have any information about him, his name, or anything like that. And hopefully during the next campaign we able to discover more if the rogue wants to reveal any kind of those information and such. One last thing I wanted to put it, this video actually took quite even longer to do, and the reason that is if we look over here, there is no little dots, and anybody who knows Vegas Pros know that there should be lines, technically something like this right here, but larger, you know, like sound effect going ripple through the whole area over here. So this basically means that many of the mistakes that I have made, and as you see right here, there's a lot of cuts. Look at all those cuts. That's basically if I said something that in a sentence that it feels wrong, I will cut that and then I will say it again perfectly, or maybe close to something that should sound good. So This took a lot of time because I was technically either guessing or looking at some of these pointers lying on top of here and try to calculate the cut and then the fitting and everything. So right now I'm technically have to put the music to go through here, plus the something cool that happened in this storyline music, which would change to that and then return to a different type of music during the end. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the next one.